Yeah, hello, sir. C'était comme ça.
One. Hey, y'all, this is the Frame of Flower podcast, episode number 29. I'm joined by a very, very special guest. His name is Lofa Tatupu. He's a former NFL player and now is in the CBD and cannabis industry. Whoopsies. Really appreciate you for joining me, by the way, Lofa.
Right on, brother. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, man, 100%. So just for the audience, give like a quick little background, like kind of where you're from, your NFL career, your football career. Yeah.
Second generation NFL. My dad, mostly the Tatupu, he played 14 years in the NFL. So football was definitely a passion of mine and it still is, man. I love the game. I'll always be married to the game. And, I went to University of Maine out of high school. Let me back it up. Grew up in Massachusetts because my dad played 13 of his 14 years for the Patriots. And, didn't get really recruited out of high school. So I went to University of Maine and I played a year up there, played pretty well. And I ended up transferring to Southern Cal, which is where most people know me from, the early Pete Carroll days and the national championships.
Were you really part of that? I didn't know that, actually. You're part of the Reggie Bush, that whole era, the whole Matt Leinart era?
Matt and Reggie are part of the Lofa Tatupu era.
Yeah, my bad.
I was there from 2002 to 2004.
Wow.
And, I'm probably one of very few players to say they got the honor to play with three Heisman Trophy winners, Carson Palmer, then Matt Leinart, and then Reggie Bush. And, man, it's easy to play defense when you have the number one offense. So
yeah, dude, don't take away from yourself. Because I swear that you need the defense, but dude, that team is definitely definitely the top 10 best college teams of all time, I'd say, right? I mean, at least.
It was a pretty special run.
Yeah.
Not just from the Heisman trophies, but the 2 years that I got to start, we went 25-1. We only lost one game, triple overtime to Cal and a guy by the name of Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, I know. I had a buddy who he told me his dad, Aaron Rodgers, used to stay on his dad's couch before he became the QB of Cal, and it's just, yeah, it's wild. But
yeah,
that's
lost that chip on his shoulder, huh?
Yeah, man. Yeah, dude. Yeah, they drafted that new young quarterback, right? And I think that put another chip on his shoulder again.
Okay, now not to get too far off track, he can't be too upset because when there was a legend in front of him, and Brett Favre, he was drafted around the same spot.
Exactly.
And so hopefully he's going into it with, he's got both perspectives. Being that guy that's going to eventually maybe replace the legend, and then we'll see how it goes. But hopefully he takes that experience into account when he's dealing with Jordan Love.
Yeah, no, I think he is though, right? Isn't he? He's in the MVP combo right now, right? Or am I off?
Yeah. No, he's a foregone conclusion that he's going to get it. I'd like to see Derrick Henry get it. Like quarterbacks, they always get the love. And first of all, I want to see Russell Wilson get it.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
I don't know if they're going to, with the way the offense did the last couple weeks, I don't know if they're going to do that. But Derrick Henry led the league in rushing for a second year in a row, and this time breaking 2,000 yards. I mean, they're going to run the ball, and you still can't stop that guy.
Yeah, beast.
You got to give it to him.
He's like really too, like one of those few people that really came out like, he's one of the Alabama backs, but like everyone always goes, oh, it's Alabama. I mean, that's why. I mean, not to say like all of those people have come out, from Bama have been amazing, but to do that and then come in the NFL and continue doing that, that's impressive.
The wildest thing about Derrick Henry is he's like the all-time leading rusher in high school, like forever. And so to have those expectations placed on him, he went to college, he won the Heisman. He goes to the NFL and second round. I don't know how a guy like that goes second round, and then he's really got a chance to win the MVP of the league, and I think he should. So we'll see. But
when's the last time a running back won an MVP? It's been a while, right?
I mean, I can't even remember.
Yeah.
That's
dude, I feel you on that. I hope so too. Yeah, 100%. Okay, well, let's get back to you're at SC.
So some great years there.
Yeah.
And I left as a junior because I felt I was ready for the NFL. And, I was lucky and blessed to be drafted by the Seattle Seahawks, an amazing organization by, the late Paul Allen, man, who, he set the foundation for, how, community work and everything that they do. And so that was just, incredible to come to this organization and the city. I didn't know how beautiful the city was, and how much I missed it when I moved away. So I'm, grateful to be back. And I played 6 years with the Hawks. It was an awesome career. And then, injuries, man, they happen. It's kind of, the first 3 years out the gate were great. 3 Pro Bowls, an All Pro, Super Bowl appearance, which, I'll cherish for,
Yeah.
all of my life. It's nothing like championship football, from college to the NFL. That's why you play the game. And so,
Do you think? Wait, real quick. Like personally, like how bad do you think those refs were? Because I remember I think I was in like, I think I was a fifth grader watching that game, and I remember I'm 24 right now, but I think I was a fifth grader watching that game, and I remember we're all there, and we all got like some of those calls were insane, and I mean to this day, right? People still say that, right? Like.
Yeah, we were one of the least penalized teams year in and year out under Mike Holmgren, and so we probably set a record for penalties, and so that was very uncharacteristic of us. And it's you make peace with it, or I've made peace with it. I don't know about all my teammates, but I've made peace with it, knowing that it was just circumstances that you can't control, things out of your control. Now you can't control how the ref sees it or how he called it. And for them to come back years later and apologize, that was probably the toughest part. That was tougher than like losing. It was almost like losing it all over again. It's like, man, so you're telling me that you weren't at your best in our biggest moment, athletically in our careers, our biggest game, you weren't at your best. And that's why we potentially don't have a ring. So, I mean, at that point, you almost want to just get blown out, right? You almost want to lose by like 30, so you can just say, oh, well, we didn't have a chance anyways. But the moment wasn't too big for us. Shit happened.
Yeah, dude. I remember though. I remember just those refs just really, really like how everyone always says like, oh, it was the refs. No. This time actually though, the refs played way too big of a part than they should have been playing in terms of like how much it affected the game. But that's good to hear though, man, from you. Yeah, I mean that. Yeah, I did remember them coming out and saying, "Yeah, we messed that one up," which is like, yeah, it's almost worse.
Definitely. I wish you would have just went to his grave, said, "You know what? I called it how I saw it." I would have respected that, And it's almost, and I feel like such an asshole to say I don't respect him for telling us the truth, but it's just like, man, I wish you didn't tell me that.
Yeah, 100%. So. And then, so how long? You had a pretty long NFL career, right?
It was 6 years, my man.
6 years, okay. So that's. I think that's like. I mean, that's way above average, though. I mean, the average is what, like a year and a half, like a couple seasons.
I think 3 is the average.
Yeah.
So twice the average.
Double. Yeah, that's good.
But I mean, when everybody talks, they're like, "Oh, what'd you play? 10 years?" And I was like, "No, I mean, it felt like 2 decades." That's how.
I mean, you played Mike, right? You played the Mike position the whole time, right? Middle linebacker, right? The whole time,
Middle linebacker the whole time.
Yeah, which is like, I would say, I mean, what you like, running back probably number one, like harder, kind of more harder hit.
What, in terms of physical?
In terms of physicality, in terms of like how, because like the average like running back's career is like a year and a half or something like that, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Running backs, they take a punishment, man. I don't know how they do it. Especially like a guy like Marshawn, man, played 10, 11 years, and he delivered the hit. So
yeah, beast mode.
That was a fun guy to play with.
Yeah, 100%. Sweet, yeah. So 6 years, and then. So when did you start to really get into the cannabis industry, CBD? Like when did you, I guess when's your first experiences start to really occur with that before maybe going into the business, if that?
Yeah, even 2010-ish, 11, like my last year playing for the Hawks, I was starting to hear more and more, and there's friends and people saying, "Hey, it's going to be legal here soon, real soon." And so I was like, oh, that's interesting. So I talked to a couple friends and, saw if there was any interest in, if you're going to post football, going into the transition, if you're going to learn something, learn something new. And it's an industry that there's a lot of unknowns, right? And speaking of unknown, I didn't know that it would restore me mentally, physically, and emotionally from all the trauma I suffered in the NFL. I'm talking 6 years. The reason my career was so short was because of the injuries. In those 6 years, there's a span of 10 surgeries and 15, 15 plus concussions. And so, with every, season, you're not even at 100% going into the next season. And that was what really the toll emotionally. And you see a lot of these guys retiring and, rightfully so at a younger age, they're walking away from the game rather than crawling away from the game like I did. And so I'm proud because, those hits, they add up. And especially, the brain injuries, we're starting to see more and more evidence about that. But so I got interested about the industry just because in terms of when I first met cannabis, when I first knew of cannabis, it was when I was, I'm going to say high school, like junior high, high school. You're experimenting, not everyone, but I was.
Yeah.
And, I don't know, for some reason, I was always just happy with cannabis. It was the right choice. It agreed with me, mind, body, and soul. And much like you hear a lot of athletes, for all the injuries you go through and everything, it just where it gets the bad stigma, about they're just a stoner or something like that. No, man, it was real healing. From any kind of trauma, like I said, mentally, emotionally, and physically. So that's where my journey with cannabis really started back then. I had to give it up for football. I made the choice to give it up right when I got to college. It football meant more to me, and so which is sad because had I stayed with hemp, cannabis, THC, CBD, whoever you want, I'm more of a CBD, as you know, Zone In CBD is one of my companies.
Yep.
I'm more of an advocate and proponent of CBD because you're not high, you're just happy. And there's a time and a place for THC, and I full-heartedly, back and advocate for that too. But I'm really excited and passionate about, full spectrum oil, which is derived from hemp. So it has under the 0.3% THC, so it's federally legal. And it's really about educating everybody about what it is and what it isn't, because you say hemp and they go, oh, weed. And, it's just so that education piece is huge. But when I got out of ball, I was looking for answers, man, for all the ailments that I've, just described. And, you know, as I got into the industry, me and my partner, Matt McCoy, who runs 1937 Farms with our brother, Jeff McCoy. I've known them since I was 19. So it goes back to like college days. And we played our last year here for the Hawks, me and Matt, in 2010. And we stuck around and, we were just trying to figure out, what do we want to do next? Football, that chapter's closed in our life. And what had brought me back was coaching, and he had stuck around. And so we bought some property. And, with that, we had the idea that, hey, we'll slowly dip our toes in and learn. And that learning curve, it got steepened because, some people let us down in terms of, over promising and under delivering in the business fashion. So we had to step in and take over operations and build a brand, which is 1937 Farms. And, we're really proud of it. And, but as I got into cannabis, I still wasn't big into smoking. I had been gone away. I tried to go back, but it just wasn't for me anymore. I don't know. I'm sure you've heard people say that.
Oh yeah. You get the anxiety, your heart's beating. You're like, I'm like, the anxiety is just a little too crazy right now. Yeah, no, I have similar things as well with that. Yeah, completely get that.
It's all about balance, right?
Yeah.
And so, I was doing more research, and even, so I can only, if I do eat or smoke, it has to be a sativa, right? I have to go up. I'm already like very, slow going, mild tempered. I need to come up. And
yeah, I'm the same way. Yeah.
If it's an indica or even a hybrid, I'll just start to get really slowed down. So, and my boy, Matt McCoy, he's the other way. He needs to come down. He's go, high energy, everything. And so that's all it is. It's about finding your balance. And I did notice that when you take like microdose, because that's all that was really allowed in the I-502 recreational was THC um, products. So I tried to find one with the smallest amount, and I tried to dose it out so there wasn't any high. There wasn't. It's just, like I said, zone in. It's just, and Fairwinds Cannabis. I'm not sure if you're familiar with
Yeah, I
them.
love Fairwinds. Yep.
Man, everybody does. James and Wendy Hull and their whole team, phenomenal people.
Yeah.
They put amazing products out. But they made one um, full FECO, full extract cannabis oil, and it was like maybe it was a 10 to 1 ratio, 25 milligrams CBD to 2.5 THC. So there's like very little to none in there, and you know, within weeks, a week of taking it, I just started feeling young again. I'm talking inflammation went down. Positivity started radiating. It was wild, man. It was not the guy I used to be. It was the guy I always wanted to be. And that's why I'm so adamant about talking about a proponent of CBD and THC. Time and a place. Everybody, consenting adults over 21, right? Because we're still trying to erase the stigma. But that's really, I believe CBD is the bridge to help, not erase, but educate the misinformation about hemp and cannabis. And so when I had my transformation with CBD, it was primarily with CBD products. I lost 50 pounds. I became more present moment, hence zone in. In every day, whether it was with my kids, whether it was work life, anything. And I started going back to the gym, which I hadn't been to the gym in like 7, 8 years since I
Oh,
stopped.
wow. Hmm.
I couldn't, all those surgeries, the knee surgeries, torn pecs, broken thumb, broken wrist, like everything on top of the concussions, which, the concussions in which we talked about with depression and anxiety and all those things. If your mind's not right, the rest isn't going to fall in place. And so it was crazy to watch the transformation. And I mean, it was pretty special, to come back to life, a life that I've always wanted to live. But I started buying up all sorts of, full spectrum oil, the fair winds and
Yep.
and all good quality products. And I started handing them to friends and family that, and watching them come back to life. That was the most rewarding part of the process. Watching a friend or a family member either get off of, meds that they've been on for a while, or, not deal with pain every day like I had, and watching them live a life that they never dreamt of or thought was possible. That was what made it so special. And so I was doing that for 3 years before starting Zone In, which we incorporated and started in a year ago in 2019.
Yeah, and
October.
you guys 1930, because I've heard about 1937 Farms for a while now. How long ago was that? Did you guys start that?
I think that brand was established in 2016.
Yeah.
We had owned the property, me and Matt, since 2014, and then took over fully in 16. I joined him just after, because I was coaching in 15 and 16, and then I joined him just after the 16 season, and just it's man, it's hard work, growing cannabis.
Oh yeah, dude, growing cannabis is tough, man. You think football's hard, man? No, I'm just kidding. No, but football's extremely hard. Like, I remember times being on the field and you're just like, holy shit, like this sucks. But I remember times I've been in the field and you're like, holy shit, this sucks. Like I've done outdoor, indoor, all that, and it's like that's like scale.
Yeah.
Growing cannabis is tough, man.
Well, you're not just, everyone thinks, oh, you're just a florist or a gardener. No, man, you're a farmer. Yeah, you're in there doing like real work, and it's cool, man. It's incredible to see where we've taken the brand. All credit goes to my brothers Matt and Jack McCoy. Love those guys. They've been holding it down, and because I was so passionate about CBD and both of these plants, hemp and cannabis, are going to heal the world. And I mean, that's really the message that I've been spreading, and that's the message that needs to be spread in order to get everybody on board and be a little more open-minded about, how it can help them. Whereas all these other things that people do to self-medicate
The
or
pharmaceuticals
oh
and yeah.
yeah, drugs, alcohol, man, that's really what's killing us. And where we've been told forever, cannabis will kill you, and it's we need to stop with
It
that.
won't. Yeah, it just won't. Yeah, it's just not. It'll really just help us. I mean, you can definitely abuse. I mean, cannabis or THC. Really, I mean, just anything too much. Too much of anything can be bad. But
Yeah,
yeah, it's hard to do with THC to have too
well,
much.
you're just gonna fall asleep. You're just
Yeah.
gonna get a more peaceful sleep. That's the reality of it. I
Yeah.
mean, but it's just sad because we lose people every day.
Yeah.
To to things that this plant, both these plants could really change. I mean, I'm talking, full lifestyle change for me. From I never used to get a good sleep. I have sleep apnea, and I have the CPAP machine. So it's sleep apnea where you stop breathing for short periods of time.
Yeah, I think I need to get one, to be honest. I need
Dude,
to.
I'm telling you,
Yeah.
check it out. And
Yeah.
it was a game changer for me, but also it was good. But until I had CBD, I didn't know what real rest was. I'm talking, you know, full REM sleep, sleeping. I didn't need as much sleep. I used to need 8 to 10 hours of sleep, like because I would get up after 8 hours, I would feel exhausted. I would just like, I don't want to get out of bed. How much time do I have left on the alarm clock? I went from that to waking up before my alarm at 5:30 every morning. And when you wake up, it was different, man. I was just like, okay, I'm awake. Like I look at my clock, it's like, yo, it's 5:30. And that had never happened to me. I'd always look, okay, I would have been like, oh, I got 3 more hours. Like put that thing back down. I started, I was like, well, I got all this extra time. And it wasn't just time, it was the energy that I was having because instead of having sleep deprivation, I was, fully rested.
Yeah.
I started going back to the gym. And I guess before I could even get there, I used to have to like dangle my feet off the edge of let the blood rush to them. I'm talking like old man stuff. Like,
Yeah, like the circulation wasn't necessarily is there, so you had to.
yeah. And
Yeah.
so with that, I was like, all of a sudden, I just remember getting out of bed and I didn't have to like furniture walk, like use the dresser like a toddler to get to the bathroom. I was just like up and going. And I was like, okay, is this placebo effect? Am I just hoping this is, working? And, man, it's been 4 years and every year just keeps getting better, including 2020. And I know 2020 was rough for everybody. So I hope no one takes that, the wrong way.
But for you physically, it was a great year. Yeah, absolutely.
Physically, mentally, emotionally, it's, just having peace of mind. And not letting things beyond my control affect me.
Yeah.
It's powerful stuff, and that's really what it brought about, a perspective shift. I've always been grateful for everything I had, but now just always being present moment. That's something special, man. There's a lot of times we we lose moments because we're thinking about the past or we're too forward in the future, worrying about something that honestly might not even happen. And so what the CBD has done for me, it's really helped me zone in and just live my best
Focus in
life.
the now, right? Yeah, be in the now. Absolutely. So why do you and I've seen, I'm sure you've been advocating CBD to your NFL brothers. But like what do you know like what's going on with because we just saw recently the MLB now is cool with they're going to start to be testing their own CBD for the MLB for the players. I heard, the NBA is about to stop testing for THC, and I don't really know what happens to CBD. But what's the status with the NFL? Do you know really when it comes to that? You have no idea. Yeah,
And they
I don't
don't
really
even
think they're that open to it. Really, weirdly
they
enough.
don't even know. No. And it's sad because the anti-inflammatories and the opiates and the painkillers, that's drugs. I mean,
Yeah,
they think cannabis is drugs. No, man. And so it's just sad that misinformed, an old way of thinking, honestly, is really what it is. And let's be serious though. It is a business. And so if they can't make money off it because it's not federally legal, I don't know how likely they are to accept it. Now, NBA, they are much more forward thinking. They're probably the most forward thinking out of any, even back when they raised the limit of THC because, they weren't concerned about it, and they didn't want some players failing for having THC in their system.
So they raised the particle per million or whatever they test they test for. Okay, okay, sweet.
Yeah.
So they raised that. Yeah. Now and then I think last year because of the pandemic and all that, they just said we're not gonna test for it. And then I heard Adam Silver like a week ago or like a couple of weeks ago was like, I think we're not gonna test for this anymore. Right.
Yeah. No, I mean they're not worried about it. They're not, and it's good for them. Baseball. Like, unfortunately, that kid passed away a year ago, and it was maybe a couple weeks or a month after they revisited. Like, hey, THC is off, our restricted list, and I think hockey. I think I've read about them. They probably do it the best. They test everybody for everything, and they don't fine you and then drag you, through the mud with your name through the mud with like suspensions and all this and fines. They send you to a specialist to see if you have a problem. They actually care about their players in terms of like, hey, like, are you okay? Like, is this something that you're, using to cope with or something that we can help you with? That's, from my understanding, their procedure. Because rarely ever do you hear of a THC suspension, in hockey. And so
and hockey's a little bit more like the football. Like, I mean, people get smacked in hockey, right?
They need this the most because hemp and cannabis is a neuroprotectant. And so, like, with that being said, I mean, I really feel like it can repair the brain from all the, the TBIs and everything. And, some damage, like, I'm not a doctor, but it's probably irreparable. It's what we signed up for. But I know cognitively the things that I was going through, short-term memory loss, like walking into a room and being like, I was in here for something. I don't know what it was. I mean, that shit's scary. And I mean, that was happening when I was 30, 31. And after a hit in 2007, I remember I hit the back of my head hard, like just got laid out. And I had blurred vision, which is normal after a concussion or a mild concussion. But I had a black dot over my right eye, and I was scared to tell anybody because I didn't want them to tell me that
they want to take you out, right? And
I was never going to play again, right? And so it was fluid in my right macula, and it was just a black dot. I could barely see out of my right eye, and it's not gone, but it has shrunk since using CBD. And, it's just because it's the anti-inflammation properties that it has. And, everything there's so much that it does for you. It's, we could go on for hours about it. But ultimately, just fixing your mindset and shifting that perspective towards just one of eternal gratefulness and positivity. I mean, there's nothing stronger. CBD's made me a believer in the plants and what they can do for all of us.
Yeah, 100%. And sweet. Cool to do like 15 more minutes, by the way? Mm-hmm. Okay, sweet. Yeah, 100%. And I think, I think that we really haven't even tapped into the true potential of the entire plant, like, to be honest, because, I mean, there's CBD, CBG, I mean, there's all the CBs, really, and then there's the THCP, THCA, like, we haven't even really scratched the surface, to be honest, on the science. And it's because this lack of federal legalization, meaning the lack of funding that's going into this research, because we need a lot more research. But, like the NFL really, in my opinion, is like, what they should be doing is like realize, like, if they really had a true expert telling them, like, you guys don't even understand what this could do for your guys' players. We need to be researching this. We need to be researching this, put this into sports medicine, like intertwine this, like,
You would have healthier players,
yeah,
mentally and physically. And like, that's the big part, coming back from a concussion, are they really ready to go back out there? They would know, and physically you'd have less guys in the injury report. But then also when you're leaving the game, the guys are going to walk away with less problems, less, debilitating injuries, and just watching them walk away is really what I can't wait to see that day, rather than get carried off the field like I was in my last game or second to last game. So, and then you're putting a better product on the field and in the community, and so the better they treat themselves, the better they're going to be for everybody around them.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I 100% agree.
But like you said, CBD does get a little too much credit. That's why I talk about full spectrum oil, because you need all the other phytocannabinoids, just a fancy term for plant compounds, because they all work synergistically together to do their part with our ECS, our endocannabinoid system. So it's man, it's because I've had THC on its own back in the day, an edible or whatever. While maybe it's fun, it's not as healing as, although laughter is healing. So
yeah, laughter is healing. Well, I do know that like and like this is, I guess, still part of the full spectrum, but like you do need to have, like, what's the best way for your body to absorb the THC or CBD is to actually have them both together, is that those two come together to actually absorbing your body better. So it does, not to say that you need to crank up the THC hella high, but
well, because THC, even if it's trace amounts, that's the one that actually been proven to bind to the CB1, the brain receptors. And CB2, they said it's got low affinity to bind to CB1. It's more CB2, which is why everybody talks about the inflammation, anti-inflammation, and healing properties of CBD. But yeah, man, I when I started out my journey, I took all sorts of products. I just bought them all, right? Talked to all the bud tenders, talked to everybody. Yo, I want the one with the minimal to zero THC, which there wasn't really any other products out there. And I want CBD. Well, there's a lot. There's the isolate, right? Which it falls along a bell curve, is what they say. So you're going to hit your threshold, and you're not going to get any more benefits, once you hit that threshold. And then you go broad spectrum, which is everything but the THC, and it's good. You'll feel a little bit, but the full spectrum, like the reaction I had after several months of journaling about isolate broad spectrum until I found Fairwind Speco, it was just an awakening of sorts,
Yeah.
And so like I'm forever grateful to James and Wendy. I always give them a shout out. And with that, I did more studying, and upon finding out the only difference between hemp and cannabis is the varying amounts of THC, meaning CBD from either plant. While one is legal, hemp, and cannabis, is not legal, it's still the same exact compound in their isolated form. So, as soon as the hemp bill passed, I was like, hey, we need to get together and just spread this message. I've been doing it for 4 years. We need to make, a go of this, and just tell as many people as we can about, and like the letters, the, direct messages on Instagram, the text messages that I get every day from people like, hey, did you know this helps you with this? Nope, but I do now. And I'm talking like these stories are insane, man. And that's why we're doing it, because I owe my life to this plant. I really do. The life I know now, like I said, last 4 years been the greatest of my life, and I owe it all to the hemp plant.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. And and that's so beautiful to hear, man. And I'm very happy for you. And I hope more NFL players and more people that are dealing, with coming from, whatever trauma that they're feeling or whatever they're coming out of, whether you're a veteran, coming out of the army or wherever you're coming out of a combat sport like football. I think that this really does have a lot of potential to help people, and I'm very glad to hear that, man, that story. Well, dude, thank you so much for joining me, man. I really appreciate your time. I would love to have you back sometime in the future. We could talk more.
Yeah, brother. Yeah, I know, because I could go
Yeah, I know we could talk. Yeah, 100%. I just, I don't want to. I don't want. Yeah, I know if we go too deep, we'll be here for 3 hours.
Yeah, well, I feel more bad about the editing that you're gonna have to do later.
No, it's good. No. There's no editing at all. Don't worry. We'll be doing clips, so we'll be putting the full thing out, and then we'll just be clipping it up. You'll probably see a couple on Instagram. So.
Okay, for sure, man.
But yeah, man. Well, this is the Frame and Flower podcast. This is episode number 29 with the legendary Lofa Tatupu from Zone N CBD, 1937 Farms, and of course, my Seahawks, my beloved Seahawks. Go Hawks! We're gonna make it deep now this year in the playoffs. Yeah. Were you at the game? Did I see you at the game? I saw you in picture. Were you able to go and watch it? Or no, was that from it was on Instagram. I saw a picture of you.
Was it?
Did you hit up Pete? Did Pete let you?
No, it's no outsiders.
No outside. Yeah.
Yeah. No. Like they're not letting anybody in there.
Yeah.
So it's unfortunate, but I mean they've done pretty good with no fans, even as bad as the 12s want to be in there.
Yeah.
And I mean, yeah, of course. Like I was hoping like a playoff time, you get to 2021 and they lift the restrictions, but it doesn't seem like they're going to do that anytime soon.
Yeah, dude. Absolutely, man. Well, thank you so much, man. I hope to have you back on soon, and I really appreciate your time. I appreciate your story a lot too. Seriously.
Right on, man. Like I said, this is my new calling in life. Just be an advocate, spread the message about what it is, what it isn't, and how it's gonna heal the world, bro. It really is.
I agree, man. Hell yeah, man. Well, thank you guys so much. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. And we'll see you guys in the next one.